Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of a weekly reading vlog that I have attempted to start like 3 times. This is the 4th time and I'm keeping it, like no matter what. I've just been kind of fluffing up with everything I want to say, so we're just gonna go for it. Basically, I don't know what I'm reading. I had different plans, different ideas for this week, and I really don't know what I want to read. I started off with doing the spinner wheel that Rainie's created as part of Get a Clue, because I'm still taking part in Get a Clue. It's the 3rd week of Get a Clue. If you don't know what that is, it's a readathon that's being hosted by Rainie. I'm one of the co-hosts. My team is Miss Peacock. I swapped to Junior Detective because I was just finding Senior, you know, I just couldn't keep up. I was putting too much pressure on myself. Went down to Junior. Much prefer it. But now I can kind of read whatever I want. And I thought to myself I would do a spinner wheel. However, I was thinking to myself, like, I know the books I want to be reading, and it's very unlikely the spinner wheel was going to hit one of the 3 books that I want to read anyway, so I would just keep spinning and spinning until eventually something fitted for one of them, which just didn't really seem that logical. So instead I am thinking to do a poll up on my Patreon instead for people to vote in to decide what I'm going to be reading next week, because this week, because I just don't know. I'm going to be starting the book tomorrow, so I'm going to have the poll up for 24 hours. So I'm going to go through the 3 different options. 2 of them were options that I was talking about last week. So a book I have been slowly, ever so slowly reading is The Master Artificer by Justin Cool. This is the 2nd book in his series. Last week I made some more progress with it. I got up to page 89, chapter 9. Really enjoying this book. Like, it's just so comforting. It's like high fantasy, but it's like classic fantasy at the same time, and I'm really in the mood for just books with characters I love. That's literally all I want my mood to be in right now, because I have been struggling with reading this month, and I know to stop it so that I don't DNF things and stuff, I know I just need to be reading loads and loads of books with characters I already know and love in worlds that I know. Yes, this is dark and gritty, like especially in the last little bits that have happened, but it's still comforting to me because I know the characters. So this is one, and it's huge, so I don't think I'd be finishing it all in this week, but I would definitely make good progress with it. And then the next option that I was thinking about from a couple days ago in last week's vlog, A Pocket Full of Rye by Agatha Christie. This is the next book I need to read in the Miss Marple series. Again, I love Miss Marple. I find these murder mysteries really comforting and cozy. In the last reading vlog, I was reading a murder mystery that is not cozy, that was really fast paced, and I found it a little bit overwhelming. Like, I wasn't loving my time with it, mainly because of my mood, nothing against the book. And so I just feel like going into a cozier mystery, a mystery that I know I enjoy, is something that I really want to do. And also this is the book that you all voted on for the month from my TBR game, so this would be a good one to read as well. And again, like, if this one doesn't get chosen, I will be reading it next week regardless, so it doesn't really matter. So like, doing the poll this week is kind of deciding my reading for the next 2 weeks, and the idea is that even if this one got chosen for this week, I would read this one in the background probably. It just means I wouldn't be solely focusing on this one. So those were the 2 that I was initially thinking, and I was just gonna kind of decide to myself based on how I'm feeling which book I was gonna start off with. However, I've just finished the Relax and Readathon, which I had an amazing day with, and I was reading the new Emily Wilde book. Absolutely loved it, but while I was reading it, it really got me in the mood for more books with fairy and folklore and all of that in it. And so now I kind of also want to read The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This would be wrapping up a duology, which I need to do. And you know, all of these books are continuing series. That's kind of what I'm in the mood for, which is great for my year goal this year to continue series. Just there was something about just reading the different types of fairy within Emily Wilde that really got me thinking about how Holly Black also depicts fairies from folklore in a way that I really like, and that I have been wanting to read this one for a while. It's been on so many TBRs. It's been on my winter TBR, it's been on my, I think it was January TBR, and I never got round to it. Like, I really do want to be reading this book, and preferably before it warms up. I'm really in the mood for this one as well. So I think I'm going to put a poll up, just one for 24 hours, to say what one of these 3 do I read. I can't decide if I'm going to go with emojis or if I'm going to put the book titles. I'm not sure. I feel like if I go with titles, then it would probably be this one that wins. But also, I feel like emojis is more fun because then they just don't know. They just know that they're going to be voting, and I feel like that's kind of fun. And also, how would I put these books into emojis? That would be fun. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a poll up on Discord just for 24 hours. Once it hits tomorrow morning, I'll know what I'm reading, get started, and then I can do an update on here as to which book won. Honestly, I want to read all of them. This is all suiting my mood so well. They're all authors that I know I really like. We've got characters I know I really like. They're all slightly different. We've got a lighter YA political fantasy. We've got a darker, classic, grittier fantasy, especially at the minute. And then we've got a cozy murder mystery. So it's a nice selection of books. They're all scratching the itch of what I want, and this will decide what I then read next week. So starting off this vlog with no clue what I'm reading, just all the ideas, but that's great because somebody else can decide for me, which is great because I still need to finish off a few things today anyway. I won't be starting any of those books regardless today, so it was a perfect timing to start this video, do the poll, and just see what I end up reading because I've got quite a lot I need to do. I need to edit a full vlog today, edit all of last week's reading vlog today, as well as finish off the book I'm reading for that one and wrap it up. So I've got quite a busy day. Tomorrow I can start on the book for this vlog. That's where we're at. I hope you were doing really well. And yeah, you know what? As much as February started off on a really rocky month, I am pleased with the books I've actually finished. Okay, maybe not all of the books that I finished. The majority of the books that I finished, I'm really happy that I read. With all of those rambles out the way, I hope you're doing really, really well. Let me know what you've been up to and what you've been reading, and yeah, I guess we'll find out tomorrow what on earth I actually end up reading for this vlog. Results are in. I did mean to do this update yesterday when the results came in. Never quite happened, but as you saw from the b-roll, a pocket full of Rye won. Honestly, it was quite fun to do emojis. So for this one, I put a teacup and a magnifying glass. For this book, I put a sword and like a robotic arm to represent that arm of chaos that we've got in this book. And then for Prisoner's Throne, I put an icicle and a fairy. It was quite fun, limiting myself to 2 and trying to get it all to work. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. Mainly this one. This one is the one that tripped me up, but get into it. So this is the book that won. I have decided to break it down into chunks, so I folded the tops of the pages so that I read this over the course of a week. It worked out that I need to read around 35 pages a day. I like to do it by chapter, so some are a little bit over, some are a little bit under. Yesterday we got up to chapter 5, page 42. Today I will be getting up to chapter 9, page 68. I'm having the time of my life with this. We're back into the cozier, more sedate mysteries, which I'm really excited about. Honestly, this reader month has been what I wanted it to be, which is murder mystery month for Get a Clue, which is amazing. But this one, we're just kind of going back to that sort of murder mysteries that I really like, that slower paced style. I am tabbing, which I love. I always make an effort to tab the Agatha Christie ones because I do want to try and solve them. So I only ever have 2 tabs. One is the clues and facts of the case, which is like this yellow to match this cover. And then the other one is like suspicions. That's suspicious behavior. I don't know whether to trust it or not. And that is pink. So that's it. That would be the 2 tabs that I do throughout the whole book. I do have my trusty journal so I can make some notes about what is going on. Now this one is going to be non-spoilery, so I won't be sharing too much. I will share these initial thoughts because it's only the first 35 pages, but from there on out I will not be sharing anything. However, my Patreons for the month of March have voted on doing a daily vlog, which is going to be reading an Agatha Christie book and doing it proper spoilery. I did it once ages ago where I was reading an Agatha Christie book and I had different characters. I did like a board of like, these are all my suspects, these are why I think they're suspicious and things like this. So I'm going to proper break it down like that. And the book I'm reading for that will be the next one in the Miss Marple series, which is 450 from Paddington. So if you are interested, my top tier patrons will be getting that in March. I'm really excited to film that one. I think it's going to be so much fun. But back to this book. So this is quite an interesting one. We have Rex, who is like a lawyer. He's done a lot of things on the side that he's basically a crook, but he's just this side of the law. A lot of people don't really like him, including his family, ends up dying when he's at work. We're pretty sure that the poison has come from a yew berry because this takes a little bit longer to work, and the seizures and the way he was acting and stuff, it seems like that is the poison that killed him. And if you've had a heartier breakfast, it takes even longer. That is the clues that we have been given. So the main people of interest so far, there's few, but I'm focusing on the family part. We've got Percival, one of his sons. We've got Lance, his other son that's estranged, and then we've got his wife who is clearly having an affair. To be honest, I don't think it's the wife. I'm going to disregard her. The other weird thing to throw a spanner into all these works is that he was found with grain, or more accurately rye, in his pocket, and they're like, but he doesn't even like cereals, so that doesn't even make any sense. So we've got a bit of a mystery going on. Who murdered him? Loads of people seem to have reasons to murder him, including people he works with, his housemaid, and all of this stuff, just because he was one of those arrogant, very difficult people that nobody seems to really like. On top of his family drama, there was clearly something going on. We don't know what it is, but there's clearly something because his behaviour, Rex's behaviour, changed in the lead up to his murder. So I'm really intrigued. I love it. I love it. I love mysteries. I love trying to solve them. So I'm really excited to do it. That is all the information you're getting from me though. There will be, going forward, there is no spoilers. I feel like these first 35 pages saying that these are things, I don't feel any of that is spoilers. Like for me, I wouldn't find it spoilery at all. But going forward, I will not be saying anything apart from if I think I have a suspect, I will not name them and whether I get it right or not. Now, I've only solved literally a handful of Miss Marple books. No, that's a lie. I've solved a couple of short stories, got close to solving one where I solved who did it, but not why they would have done it, or something like that. I never fully solved them. So could this be the one? Probably not. Honestly, probably not. But you know, we'll never know. But yeah, very, very excited to continue reading this, and I will just be reading a little bit every day. And because I'm only reading a little bit every day, I have decided to also continue picking up Master Artificer in the background. So this is not the focus. Because I was off yesterday, I did my editing. We got it done. There was a big editing day. On my break from editing during the day, I read my 35 pages, went back to editing. By the time it was done, I had some time in the evening before I was going to sleep, so I decided to pick up this book for a little bit, and that's how I'll be doing it. Probably when I'm back to work, which is tomorrow, I will only most likely be reading from here, unless of course I manage to get things done, or because I'm on late shifts, I have the morning free, so if I end up waking up early for whatever reason, then maybe I'll read more, but this is not the priority. But I did read a little bit of this. We're now up to chapter 13, page 133. So I read almost 50 pages. Love this so much. Oh my god, okay, we know I've said that a lot, I'm sorry, but I do love this one. So I'm going to do a very brief overview because I've been mentioning it every week so far. But in this book, we are following a Nymph. Now, a Nymph is, scrap that. We're in this world where we have different gods and goddesses, but the three main ones, one of them is a fallen god, and his name is Chaos. And the mark of Chaos is to be missing part of your arm. I think it's like from just above the elbow down. If you're missing that and you're born at birth like that, you are straight put to death, your parents are stoned to death, everything. All dead, because that's seen as really, really bad. Chaos is the evil, evil god. A Nymph, however, is born that way, and he is rescued by this person called Sodor, who ends up bringing him up. He's almost like a mage, he has magic and things, and he's teaching a Nymph things that are different to what the little village that we're in the first book has, this like academy where they're training the children to do different things. What a Nymph wants to be trained in is to be trained to be able to leave the village to go out looking for magical artifacts to bring them back to the vaults that they have. In this village, they are taught magic is extremely bad and extremely dangerous, and people using it, they should be put to death. And people with disabilities, whatever form of disability, they're also evil because that is a mark of Chaos. Now, a Nymph is in this really peculiar situation because he's got that being drummed into him by this academy, but he's also being brought up by Sodor, who is using magic to save his life by covering up the fact that he doesn't have his arm. So he's in this really peculiar position where he's like, he knows that not all magic is bad, not all people that use magic are bad, and not all people with disabilities are evil. But he's only young, you know, we meet him in the first book, I think he's like 16 or something. This book takes place straight after the events of book one, which I like. There is like 0 time delay between the two, and there is so much that happens at the end of this book, at the end of the first book, that a Nymph is, oh bless him, he's in such a difficult position. He's lost everything he knows he's now on this journey with a couple of people that he wouldn't necessarily have called friends before, which I can't go into too many details of because, again, I don't want to spoil the first book for you. But he's still just a teenager. Like, he's still emotional. He's still dealing with the fallout of everything in that first book. And in the first book, it really shows how he is a teenager, how all he wants to do is, you know, have fun with his friends and be with the girl that he really loves and, you know, do all these different things. Like, he has tantrums and stuff. He pushes out against things. He's very emotional. But I think it really works because he does feel like a teenager, and I really like that because I think, especially in high epic fantasy, you can sometimes, like, the younger characters will be made to feel older, and yes, circumstance can make you mature quicker than you should, but I still like the fact that we still, even now, get moments where a Nymph shows his age, and I really appreciate that. But in this book, we're starting to get multiple perspectives. In the first one, you only get a Nymph's perspective. They're dark. It's gritty. I don't think we're going to get their perspective like loads. I think the main perspective will be a Nymph, and then every so often we'll get chapters from those other characters, which I think works really well. I am so intrigued to see what's going on. I'm intrigued by this journey that they're all having to go on. Just the fallout of everything that's happened. We're also learning a lot more about the different gods and goddesses in this book, which I really appreciate. Like, the world is really being built up. So I'm very happy with this. Like I say, the main focus for this week will be A Pocket Full of Rye. I will be reading my 35-ish pages a day of this, and then if I have time, I will dip in and out of Master Artificer if I've got a bit time before I go to bed. That's the plan. We'll see if it works. But today I'm meeting my partner for lunch. I've then got filming to do. I want to film the TBR video for March and then hopefully edit another video. That would be good to get myself ahead. We'll see. We've got lots of different things to do. Those are the reading plans though, which honestly, I feel so happy about this reading week, and I'm glad I'm finally feeling happy about my reading week. February was a rocky start, I'm not gonna lie, but you know what? Third week in and we finally enjoying it, so that's good. I'm glad we're starting to get to a good point in my reading, because yeah, if you've seen the other vlogs, you know it's been a rocky start. But I think what really changed it around for me was the relax and readathon. That was just a really needed day where I just chill, and it was perfect, and I read a really good book, so that was really needed. And I think, I mean, I mentioned it there, where it just kind of reset me for the rest of the month, and this week is just kind of like reinforcing that yes, this is going to be an amazing reading week. I really do have high hopes. So yeah. Okay, right, I've waffled on for long enough. I have lots of things to do, so I'm gonna go off and do all of that. I will check back in when I've read some more, and honestly, take your bets whether you think I'm gonna solve A Pocket Full of Rye. I don't think I will. Like, genuinely, I don't think I will, but we are nevertheless going to try. Good morning! I've made really good progress in A Pocket Full of Rye. Well, we already know that because I already mentioned how I was splitting the days up. But anyway, this morning I read my most recent chunk, so I'm now up to chapter 13, page 105, almost halfway through the book, and oof, lots of things just happened. We just had more murders, more stuff going on, and I'm really liking this. This is really good. So this is what's interesting to me, because last week I was reading another murder mystery book that had loads of murders, loads of things going on, but I really think the big difference between my enjoyment of that one and this one is, one, I was very tired when I was reading that one, but I can be tired when I'm reading this book and it not affect my enjoyment of it. I think it's very much the pacing the pacing in this just feels a little bit like slower, and I really appreciate that in my murder mysteries. Like it just lends to that cozy feeling. So I find something that's really fast paced, really like jumping around, doing lots of things, that it just doesn't feel as cozy. It feels really full on, which, you know what, is fun for like a little puzzle. Otherwise, I much prefer this slower, sedate method, and we really are exploring everything fully in a way that just, it feels, I don't know, an interesting one to compare, because I've read a lot of murder mystery this month, and I do find my favourite ones have been the ones that have just taken their time with the mysteries, because that has happened. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've just had 2 murders very close together, but before that we had spent like 100 pages just focused on that first murder, really getting to grips with all our characters, really understanding them, their different motives and things, and then we have the murders, and we know that's because that person is feeling backed into a corner. That person's got to try and finish everything out, and they don't really want to get caught, and I like it. I do have a theory. I have a theory on who I think it is. I think I'm going to end up sticking to it. I don't think I'm going to change my mind, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to mention my theory or anything like that because I'm not going to do spoilers, but I am really enjoying it. Like, I always find as we get further into the book, I do less tab, and I've just been noticing like for this we had like a chunk of like 15 pages with no tabs, compared to the start where there's pretty much tabs on almost every page. Probably a slight exaggeration, but there's loads. But I always find like that's normal to me, because obviously as everything progresses, you get less on the clues and things because you have all of the facts of the case. It's now just trying to work out who actually did it. And I don't know, I just love it. I love an Agatha Christie mystery. I love Miss Marple mysteries. And while Miss Marple has not made an appearance, and I don't think she will until the very end of this one, kind of what happens, I find that the Miss Marple mysteries, Miss Marple really does take a back seat to the mysteries. But I also really like that, because I feel like once Miss Marple enters, you know that you're getting close to the end of the book, and she is going to point out some things that you may have missed that is going to end up being really important. And I think it gives you as a reader a chance to solve this mystery, because you're left with all the details, you're left with everything that's going on to try and solve it, and then you've got Miss Marple coming in towards the end, like I said, pointing out all those things that maybe will go, ah, yes, definitely this person, or maybe make you go, oh wait, I didn't consider this. I mean, to be fair, don't take anything I'm saying like factually, because like at the end of the day, like I said, I'm really bad at solving these, but there's just something about it that I really like. Like, if I compare it to other mysteries that I have read, I really enjoy the cozier mysteries. And I've read one Hercule Poirot, and I just find he is very flamboyant, very over the top, which is fine. It's very dramatic in that, but definitely I prefer Miss Marple books so far. But saying that, I have read a couple short stories from the Midwinter Murders. I forgot to mention it in the last update. I only have a few left. I've got 3 of these left before I finish out the collection, and I really want to finish it by the end of the month, just because like across January and most of February, like I've been very slow in reading this, but this is my seasonal short story collection. I mean, it's a seasonal Agatha Christie short story collection, but I have a seasonal TBR that I like reading, a short story collection, and this was winter's one. But I read 2. I read Sanctuary and The Mystery of the Hunter's Lodge. One was a Miss Marple and one was a Hercule Poirot, and I still prefer the Miss Marple one over Hercule Poirot. I don't know what it is, but it's just something about the writing style of Miss Marple ones that are just a little bit slower, more sedate. I don't know, I really like it. Whereas Hercule Poirot, I always find in his writing, he's kind of condescending. I haven't read loads of Hercule Poirot, so it could just be the ones that I'm picking up, because I know loads of people actually prefer those books compared to Miss Marple books, and maybe it's just because I've got the bias of that has been my introduction to Agatha Christie, is reading the Miss Marple books. So there could be just some bias from that on how I did it. Maybe I'd feel differently if I started with the Hercule Poirot series. I don't know. I just find that he's always a little bit, he's very full of himself. Like I enjoyed this short story because it was actually focused on Hastings, his kind of like Watson character, I guess. Hastings in this one was going off to solve the murder because Hercule Poirot was ill in bed. Kind of like the telegrams, the way that they were responding, it was just, he was so dismissive of everything Hastings was saying, and is like, no, you're on the wrong track, you need to look at this. I feel like I'm less involved in the books than I am with a Miss Marple book. Does any of that make sense? Probably not. Anyway, I read 2. I've got 3 left to go, and I do enjoy these short story collections, but I think, yeah, this is the last short story collection I own of Agatha Christie and the last of the seasonal ones. So yeah, but I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed reading all these different seasonal stories. The last one, I'm not sure. I feel like I would have read this one because it's the Christmas Adventure, and I'm pretty sure I read that one. I guess I'll find out when I read it. But the other 2, we've got The World's End and The Manhood of Edward Robinson. Some of them I find the titles have been changed, but I have actually read those stories. It's only happened a few times. There's been a couple crossovers here and there, but I don't really mind. I've been enjoying it. So yeah, that's that. That's like my mystery journey. I have also read a little bit of Master Artificer. It seems like I've read absolutely loads. I was off yesterday, I had loads of time to read and chill out, but I honestly didn't read much of this. I read another 30-ish pages, actually maybe more. I don't know where I got. Oh no, I got to chapter 13. I think it was another 30 pages. Anyway, I'm up to chapter 16 at page 166, and these last 3 chapters, holy cows. Holy cows, they have been so dark and gritty, and yet it worked so well. Like, I think it really goes to show these specific characters what they're going through. The way their character development is going really well. I mean, it's just developing in a way that is really dark, but I really like it. Like, they're seeing their hatred fuel all of their choices and cloud their judgment, and it is really quite gory as well in places, but it worked so well. Like, I was absolutely loving it and eating it up, but I was very tired and I ended up just putting it down to go to bed. I don't think I'm going to be reading any more of this over the next few days because of the fact that I am now back to work and I have got things I need to do before I go to work. So I will have time to read a pocket full of rye, which is what I did this morning. I woke up this morning, had a hot drink, and I read my pages of this, which is probably what I'm going to do every day so that I definitely get this read in the mornings before work. But then normally I've got things I need to do. I've got like food I need to make for work, I've got tidying up I need to do, and then also editing YouTube videos and stuff. I managed to give myself today off editing because I did so much editing over the last few days, which was really nice, and I ended up just sleeping in more. So I woke up, I read my pages of this, and then I just went back to bed for an hour and a bit, which was absolutely lovely. But it does mean that I'm really not going to have time to read any more of this one, and I think it's going to be that way potentially for the rest of the week. I may be able to read a bit more. I don't know. I don't want to promise, like, I don't want to force myself and be like, oh, I have to read more, because this is just the book in the background. If I've got time, I'll read it. I don't think I will have time to read any more of this one. Now I'm back at work, so it's not like I've got loads of spare time to be reading extra book, but I am really enjoying it, and I am thinking that next week definitely I'm going to focus on that book and hopefully get it finished by the end of the month. I might have to take it into January for a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to focus on this one, get this read. If I have an extra spare few minutes, then I might pick up this one, because the short stories are really short. Like last night's short story, which was the Hercule Poirot one, which was The Mystery of the Hunter's Lodge, was literally 16 pages long. Like, it doesn't take long to read. The next short story, 24 pages long. The one after that is another 20 pages, and the one after that is another 20 pages. So I think what I'll probably do, because I really want to finish this out, is read this first, and if I have a spare half hour before I go to work, before I have to leave for work, then I'll finish out a short story from here and do that, and then we'll get back to reading this one maybe by the end of the week. Maybe we'll just focus on it next week. We'll see, but I'm really enjoying this one. But yeah, honestly, this reading week, oh, it feels so good. I'm having a great time. I also had like a massive brainstorm last night of loads of ideas and different video ideas I want to do and stuff. So looking forward to all of those and just kind of like fleshing the ideas out, which will be really good. And yeah, just in general, I feel very rejuvenated, which is great. And genuinely, I put it all down to the Relax and Readathon. Taking that day to just chill was just, oh, so needed. But right, I'm waffling on. I need to update another video, and then I've actually got to do some washing. Like, I've got to do loads of tidying up before I go to work. So I need to get on and do all of that. I'll check back in probably in a couple days when I've read some more of this. I feel like this was a great time because I wasn't sure if I was going to update today or tomorrow, because like so far I've been updating every day for this vlog, but it was such a good point to update because of all the sudden murders. I say all, we've had 2 more murders, and they happened literally right as I finished this bit. All the murders were happening, and I was like, oh, what's going on? Again, I have my theories, because what I've really been enjoying doing with this one is I'll read my pages and then I'll sit down with my notebook and kind of do an overview of everything that happened and think to myself, okay, what have we focused on in here? What have we learned? What do I think it adds to in terms of who is behind all of this? That I'm really liking. I think it's really good. So yeah, and sometimes I'll go back through, like I did the same thing when we had the last bit. I read the last sentence here. It then made me think about something that happened like a chapter or so earlier. So I went back through it to find that sentence and be like, yes, actually that could be really important later on. So then I underline it and I tab it and I make a note in my notebook, and I just have so much fun with it. Like genuinely, I have so much fun with mysteries, and I think that's the difference. That's something I've realised. I'm going on a massive tangent, I'm sorry, but mystery books I enjoy so much more when I'm actively involved in solving the mystery, and I think that's where I went wrong last week because I was too tired to do that. It was a very fast-paced book, so I definitely needed to be more awake and also actively taking part like I am with this one, with doing the tabs, with writing down things, because I think it really helps me get involved in the mystery, and I enjoy it so much more. And then the week prior to that with the Veronica Speedwell books, I didn't try and actively solve them. The first one, there was no point, it was a reread anyway. The second one that I read for it, which is actually the third one in the series, I didn't try and actively solve, but those I don't try to. Those are more just like relaxed things that are going on. Like the mystery is there, but it's a very chill vibe. I would say those are really cozy, relaxing mysteries, and it's more about like the banter between Veronica and Stoker. These, I mean, to me they're cozy mysteries, but they are more of the mystery puzzle solving. And then the one I read last week was very much just a mystery. There was nothing cozy about it. Last week's book I would have enjoyed so much more if I'd taken the time to do what I'm doing here, but also I was too tired to have done it. I think even if I'd read this one last week, I would still have been enjoying it, but I don't know if I would have been as active in making all of the annotations and things, because I think being tired is just a massive part of it. I think I should have read the Veronica Speedwell books when I was tired and read the Tom Mead book the week prior, and I think I would have preferred doing it that way maybe. You know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. That was a massive tangent, but loving this book, loving annotating it, having an amazing reading week, and I've already said all of that, so I am going to go and do all the things I said I was going to do about 5 minutes ago, which is normal. Do you know the amount of times I say that in editing and I'm just like, girl, just accept the fact that all you do is waffle. There have been developments in the case and I'm enjoying it. So I'm almost at the end. I'm up to chapter 20, page 176. So I have literally 2 more little bits to go that I've separated for this book. It is so good. I'm loving this so much. Like, I think the developments that have been added in are really interesting. It makes you think about other possibilities for this case. So I still have a main suspect, but there are 3 other potential people that could be included in this case. And I like that. I like how it's been developed. I like how everything's kind of coming together with the pocket full of rye and everything else. And I think, you know, maybe at the time this was written, it probably would have been a quicker one to catch onto in a way because of the element, which I'm not going to get into, but because of the element that is actually surrounding all of this. I like that. It's not something I ever would have thought of, but maybe when it was originally written, it would have been more obvious. I'm not sure, but I like that. I like the element that's been added in, and I'm now really curious and I'm kind of viewing things in a slightly different light. Some of it we would never have known before this point because because some of it we're just starting to get explanations. There have probably been like little drops, like if I went back and reread it, there are probably little breadcrumbs, but I don't think anything big enough to make you think, oh, it's probably to do with this. I think there was enough that could probably make you question, I wonder if it's something to do with this, but not enough for you to go, aha, yes, it's to do with that. We are definitely led in one way with the case, but at the same time, I still think that the person who I think it is, which I mentioned in the last update, obviously not naming anyone, I think it's still connected, which if that's the case, then I think that's done pretty well. If it's not, then it really is a case that you don't know until you're just over halfway the direction of it all. But again, that could just be me because as I've said to you, I'm not the best at solving these, so that could just be a me thing. Again, really sorry if you can hear any background noise. There is construction work going on in the front and the back of my flat, so there is no getting away from it. I'm trying pause as much as possible when the background noise gets really loud to then have that cut out. But I'm sure there may still be little bits that get caught. I don't know, I'm sorry about that, but I am enjoying this. I'm really intrigued to see whether my theory is correct, and if it is one of the, 4 people? I think it would be 2. Pretty certain on one. I feel like the other one is a question mark, and then, but again, I've got 4 people. I'm still sticking with my main assumption that I assumed in the last update, and I guess we'll find out whether I'm correct or not. But yeah, I do like it. I do think it is a fun one, and it's just so curious. There's so many little elements to this that I'm really interested in. And also, like, is there multiple things going on here? Because I can understand Rex, but then adding in all the others, I feel like one of them makes sense and could be connected. The other one, I feel like, what if that's just been an opportunity they've taken? So I don't know, there's lots of different things going on. I'm liking it, and yeah, I will check back in when I've actually finished this book. I haven't read any more of Master Artificer, as I assumed would happen. I've actually been having quite nice lions in the morning, so by the time I wake up I have my time to do my pages, and then I've got to like edit or cook for work or something like that, so I haven't had any extra time to read Master Artificer at the minute. Again, like, I'm not too worried. I'm thinking though that even if I dedicate all of next week to finishing this book, I don't know if I'm actually going to get it finished, because it is a chunky book. It's what, 870 pages long, this one, and obviously I'm only up to page 166, so we'll see. I might be able to do it, I may not. I don't know, but I am enjoying it, as we already know, but I've made no new progress with this one. So a bit of a shorter update for this one, because I can't tell you too much about this apart from the fact that I am enjoying it. I've been making all of my notes and things, which is something I've really been enjoying. Is just every time I finish my pages for the day is to sit down and go over my thoughts and theories and update all of that, so I'm enjoying that a lot. But yeah, I haven't done, it's not like I've done loads of reading for this vlog. Like, I'm pretty sticking to consistently reading this. I didn't read any, like, another short story from the Midwinter Murders because my partner came over last night instead, and so we sat down, watched a couple of episodes of anime, and I went to bed. I am hoping tonight to read another one of those short stories. Like, honestly, I would be quite happy if I finished this and finished the Midwinter Murders collection and then just had an Agatha Christie reading week. That would be awesome. But okay, right now I need to get some cooking done. I want to do like a potato curry for work. Lots of curries at the minute, but it's just what I was in the mood for, and that's what I bought. And now the weather's actually warmed up this week, so not that the weather has much to do with that, but I mean, like, when it was cold, having a nice curry is good, and I only just decided to do it this week, and it's the week that the weather's warmed up, which I am not complaining about. It is so nice to be at work and not be cold. But right, okay, anyway, I'm waffling on. I'm having a good reading week. I'm very, very happy with it, and yeah, the next update will be me finishing out this vlog with this, either telling you, aha, I got it right, or I very much did not. I'm still expecting that I did not. I'm still expecting there to be something that comes up that's like, oh, I didn't see that coming, or maybe I got part of it right. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But yeah, right, I've got lots and lots of things to do, so I will catch up with you probably in 2 days' time. This is good, it's needed. It's reminding me, like, why do I keep putting off reading my Miss Marple books? Because I know I really love them. Very, very happy with this. And it's made progress on my 25 to read in 2025. I've actually made good progress of that. Oh, and I could probably do this for Rainey's year-long reading challenge, because technically it's continuing a series. Oh, what one would that be for? I don't know. Let's have a quick look. I'm gonna say it doesn't work for any of the ones I've got left, because as you can see on the bingo board, I've already done one complete line, which is amazing, and then I've got 3 books bookmarked for some of the other squares. And then the rest I don't think really works for this. Yeah, so it's not really working for Rainy's year-long reading challenge, but I'm still very happy that I am making progress, and it is on my personal 25 to read in 2025 challenge, so that's good. But okay, right, I am gonna stop waffling now, so I'll catch up with you in a couple of days' time. A pocket full of rye. Did I solve this? No. No, I did not. Okay, so I stuck with the theory that I had the whole way through. And to be honest, there was a few instances where I was thinking to myself, I bet that me sticking to this theory is the wrong move. And what if it is the unlikely theory? What if it is this? And I kept disregarding it, and I kept disregarding it for one main thing because it just didn't seem to fit. But the rest of it did kind of make sense. So I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure, should I be thinking it this way? In the end, stuck to my guns, stuck with the original theory. I should have changed. I should have gone with the improbable theory. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So for my next Agatha Christie read, I'm gonna go with the theory that seems like the least watertight, because it does seem to be that we are misdirected a lot. And honestly, there was like a couple things in this where I feel like we're just put in to mislead, and we're never actually kind of like, aha, this is why they were doing that. And so because you never really got that, I feel like it's a little bit of a loose end. It's not a massive thing. It's just everything did fit with the theory that I had. It could have been me tweaking it to fit how I wanted it to fit, but it did seem to. But that's what Agatha Christie is good at, I have found in books, is giving you just enough of the information that you think everything fits this one. And honestly, logically, yes. However, it's not really the case, and you do have to like double check things. And I love it for that. I don't care that I didn't solve this. I had so much fun putting things together, coming up with why I think the person I think's done it and all of that. And then when they told me who it was, I didn't have a what? No, I can't believe that. It was a yeah, okay, that does fit. And then it was, but how did they do this bit? You know, having sirens go when I'm talking about a murder mystery is very apt, but it is annoying. Okay, where was I? I don't really mind that I didn't solve this one. Like, I just have fun in the process of solving it. I have fun with annotating it. I have fun with writing down all of my notes and things. And you know what? Normally it is the case of what happened here. It's always a niggling thought that I wonder if it's this, but then I disregard it because I go, well, it can't fit with the timeline. It can't fit with this, that, or the other. And then they explain it in some way and you're like, well, of course. So I definitely need to pay attention to that niggling little voice in my head that goes, what if? And maybe what I should do is have like the logical, and then like is actually what the inspector in here was saying to Miss Marple is actually saying to Miss Marple, so I am going with the logical, and the logical is this, which is what I had thought. And then he went, but you're going with the insane, is what he calls it. And if we go by your theory, this doesn't fit and it's this, and I loved that. I thought that was really, really interesting, and I think I'm going to approach it in future is go through all the clues and things as I get them, do my logical one, and then do the improbable, and then kind of go with that, I think is going to be my next way. And if it still doesn't work, because I bet you I'll do that and then it'll end up being the logical answer. I bet you. I really enjoyed that. Also, I was editing and I said how Miss Marple was only going to show up at the end. Miss Marple actually showed up a little bit earlier than what I thought because of a connection she had to one of the characters, and she was involved in a little bit more, not loads and loads, but she was having these little different conversations that seemingly don't hold any weight to them but always tend to have a little tidbit in there that actually impacts the case in some way. So I do enjoy that. I actually enjoyed how she was more active in this book. It was really good and really fun. I love Miss Marple books. It's reminded me why I enjoy them so much, and I am going to be reading the next one, as I already mentioned, very soon, so hopefully we can keep up with the momentum, because I have 4 of the Miss Marple books to finish on my 25 to read in 2025. So we've got 1 done, 3 more to go. I do have so much fun with them. They're just fun to try and solve, and I really like the writing style of it. Don't get me wrong, some things are dated because of when it was written, and some of it, like some certain phrases and stuff, we just wouldn't use now. I enjoy the actual plot line of these a lot and just seeing the different things that come into play. So yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm really, really pleased with that. So finished out that, which is amazing. I then did finish The Midwinter Murders. Now, the last short story is The Christmas Adventure, and I did actually read this already. I read it in December. It's actually called The Adventure of the Christmas Pudding. So it's the same story, just 2 different names. So I didn't bother actually reading it fully. Out of the other 2 though that I had left to read, I preferred the first one, which was The World's End, because that was a Mr. Quinn novel, and I really like Mr. Quinn. I think he's so enigmatic, like so interesting, and I really want to read all the short stories with him, because he only appears in short stories, and every single time he has cropped up, I have been so invested in the story because I just find it so fascinating. It's not necessarily always a murder, but there is always something going on that I find really interesting and really mysterious, and I think it just really worked. The other one was fine, don't really have much to comment on it, but I finally finished this. It took me 3 months to do, but that is exactly how long I wanted this to take me, and honestly, choosing to pivot and just have an Agatha Christie reading week has been great, and I've enjoyed it so much. So I'm really, really pleased that I read these. I think it was brilliant. So thank you so much for my Patreons for choosing this one out of the ones I was going to be reading this week. And thank you to all of you that chose this during the TBR game. Like I say, if the patrons hadn't voted on this one for this week, then I would have 100% be reading it next week, but it won the poll, so we went with this one, and it was a really, really good time. I really enjoyed myself with that, so that's great. And then I do have one tiny update for Master Artificer. I've read a little bit more. I'm now up to chapter 22, page 225, planning to focus on this next week. So in next week's reading vlog, the main goal is just to finish this book. To help me with that, I was checking on Libby to see if this was available as an ebook so that I could read this at work as well without having to take the whole book in, and it wasn't, but it was only on Kindle for $2.99, so I decided to pick it up because, you know, I like it. I really want to be able to focus in on this one and get it done, and you know, this is a really big book to take out the house, so I decided, you know what, just get it on Kindle because I do really like this book. And having it on my Kindle just means that if I ever want to do a reread, that will also make it a bit easier. But yeah, so that's how I managed to get these last few pages in, is because yesterday I was checking to see if it was available as an ebook anywhere, and as it was at a reasonable price, I decided to pick it up and I started reading a little bit. Well, I think it was only like 30 odd pages again. That is the goal for next week's vlog. Hopefully we can get it done. I think we can now that we've got the Kindle version as well, because it means that I can read this at home and when I'm out the house. There should be no reason why I don't get this done. I think if I focus in on one book, I mean, it's like 600 pages, 650 pages, should be doable in the 1 week, because I tend to read one Kindle book and one physical book per week, so that normally does correlate depending on the size of the book, but normally around 600-ish pages would be a doable amount for me in a week, so hopefully we can get this done. But I'll talk about that more in next week's vlog, which I do apologise for everyone that watches all of my videos that is then thinking to themselves, great, I've got to listen to the spiel for what this book is about again next week. I do apologise, but I am loving it, and it is really dark and gritty, and there are just certain perspectives which I'm loving so much more than the Nymph, and oh, it's so good. It is so good. I'm so intrigued. So anyway, talk about that more next week. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm really happy with this reading week. I'm really pleased that we got the Agatha Christie books done, read a little bit more of Master Artificer. Like, this was a really decent reading week, and I feel, as I mentioned already in this video, but I just feel so much more rejuvenated and settled. I was actually doing a lot of contemplation about what on earth caused my weird mood at the start of this month, and you know, in the first video I put it down more to the pressure of get a clue and being senior detective, being a completionist, wanting to finish every single room prompt in time, and yes, that is definitely part of it, but actually it's more to do with one particular book that I DNF at the very start of the month. It was the first book I picked up for the month, and I ended up DNFing it very early on. That's what caused it. So I'm going to go probably a little bit more into that in the wrap up. I can't decide how much I honestly want to share because it's very personal as to why I didn't get on with that book, so I can't decide. Anyway, moving on from all of that, this week's been amazing. I feel really rejuvenated with my reading, and yeah, really excited. I filmed my March TBR and so excited for it. Like, genuinely, it's such an eclectic mix of books, but I'm really excited for all of them. Not really. I've got 2 books that are continuing series, so that's not bad, but yeah, otherwise the rest of it is just such a interesting mix, which I'm really excited about. I need to edit that video. That video is going to be up after this one, so I need to get that all done. But yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling on at you though. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, then let's put a cup of tea actually for Pocket Full of Rye if you've made it this far, or you just don't know what to comment. And a massive thank you to all of you that take the time to watch these videos, whether you comment or interact in any way. Like, I really appreciate it. And an even bigger thank you to all of my Patreons. Thank you so much for choosing to support me over there. I'm really excited for all the different things that I've got planned. It's kind of a space for me where I have different video ideas that don't necessarily fit into what I'm doing on my main YouTube channel, and so we have those, and you get to vote on them and see what ones of those ideas do you want to see and all of this. So yeah, well, except, okay, the Agatha Christie one probably would fit on this channel very well, but you know, the idea is that I have lots and lots of ideas, and so it just gives me a place to do some of those extra ideas and have a lot of fun with them. And yeah, so if you are ever looking for extra content for me, then my Patreon will be linked below. As you know, we've got extra exclusive videos. We're going to be having a seasonal reading challenge, you get early access content, you get all sorts of different things, so you can always check it out if you want to, but no pressure. Please don't feel like you have to in any way. You really don't. I just truly appreciate everyone that has decided to support me there. Like, I'm still getting used to it. Like, it's still boggling my mind that I have that and people are choosing to support me. So yeah, but okay, right, I am gonna go, I swear, I promise. Thank you again so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links, everyone I've mentioned, my Patreon, all linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.